Howdy. Today we will be turning the Laetum into a flamethrower. I already briefly showed this in a Laetum video I did a couple months ago, but I wanted to do a short video about this specifically because I've been using it more and oh my god, it's just so damn funny. And you know, we don't really have a proper flamethrower that can do really good damage in this game right now. Nobody mentioned that weird arc gun doesn't count. And Ignis is outdated. I love Ignis. Don't get me wrong. Ignis is my most used weapon in the game. I love it. But it doesn't do a lot of damage. And you know what does? Laetum. So we're going to make it do funny damage. Now, the Laetum is one of the original Incarnon weapons, so you can get it from Cavallero at the one place that has Cavallero. I don't remember. It's called the Zeramin. That's what it is. And you'll have to craft it and then unlock all of the evolutions. It's not too bad, though. The first evolution lets it go into its Incarnon mode. So you get headshots, and then it builds up the Incarnon, and then, you know, it kills stuff once you're in the Incarnon mode. You switch over. It's usually pretty overpowered with most Incarnon weapons, and this is more so than a lot of the others, right? So you get headshots like so, and in the normal mode, it is basically just the normal mode of Lex, just a big daddy powerful hand cannon. And then when you go into the Incarnon mode, it turns into a little mini assault rifle that shoots fairly fast. This is with mods, of course. Whoopsies. And does a large amount of damage. It is projectiles, and they have explosions, so the AoE is not very large, only at 2 meters. The projectile speed is also a bit slow. You will notice it at times, though you'll get used to it. It's not too shabby. But back to these delicious evolutions. The weapon in its alt mode has base radiation damage, and it only has 20% fall off on the 2-meter range, so that's pretty damn good even though the range is so small. The second evolution, we have 3 options, either negative recoil, plus fire rate, or plus movement speed while aiming. I like Rapid Wrath for that 20% fire rate because the other 2 aren't really needed. The third evolution tree, we can go with reload speed on headshot. Sorry, I stuttered, I laughed just thinking about this because of what it's going to be like when we get to the flamethrower part of this and what we're doing with the weapon. This isn't really going to work extremely often, but it's better than the other 2 options, which are mag reload when holstered, that's worthless, and ammo efficiency while aim, gliding, or sliding. It's also pretty worthless, so we just stick with lethal rearmaments. The fourth evolution tree, we can go with elemental excess for 20% status chance base and minus 10% crit chance at base. Incarnon efficiency, so it builds up Incarnon mode 50% faster, or Kaput Mortem for 50% headshot damage. We're not going to be hitting a lot of headshots, so ignore Kaput Mortem, and Incarnon efficiency isn't really needed, and we want elemental excess because more status chance means more heat procs, and less crit chance means less crits, which is good for the fourth evolution. Now, the fourth evolution, there are, again, 3 options. Overwhelming attrition. On hit that is neither critical nor applies a status effect, you get plus 400% damage for 10 seconds, and this stacks up to 3 times. This 400% damage is additive to stuff like Serration, though even though it is additive, 1200% at max stacks is still pretty huge. Though you can't have too high of crit and status, otherwise you won't proc it. It is very nice, but we won't be using it today. Reaper's Plenty on headshot, 40% ammo efficiency. Why the hell would you ever use this? DE, just why? And then lastly, the one we're running, which is Devouring Attrition. 50% chance to deal 2000% damage on non-critical hits. This is not a percentage you can affect for like the chance of it happening or not. All you do is not get a crit and it has a chance of proccing. So less crit chance is more. And this is not additive to stuff like Serration. This is multiplicative, which is very, very massive. I don't believe this works on Acolytes, though. This damage bonus right here doesn't affect Acolyte damage, which is really weird. I don't know why it's sad, but Overwhelming Attrition does work on Acolytes. Devouring Attrition doesn't, though Acolytes will still die pretty fast, and Devouring Attrition is funnier, so we're going with this. The weapon's stats are 22% crit chance, 2.2 multiplier, 22% status at base. We're not going to go over everything else because that's the normal mode. We mostly just care about the Incarna mode, which is with these evolutions, 12% crit chance, 2.2 multiplier, 42% status chance, 100 impact on the direct hit, and the radial attack is 300 radiation damage. We will be making it a flamethrower, as said before, though. So here it is. This is the build. Let's go back in so the numbers aren't all weird looking on the left side. Galvanized diffusion for multi-shot because multi-shot gives more damage, of course. Lethal torrent for fire rate and multi-shot. Prime fulmination to maximize that AoE. This is completely unnecessary. It's just funny. So we get almost 3 meters of an AoE range. Scorch and Prime Heated Charge, we get stats chance from Scorch, and then the two together make for a very large amount of heat damage, which gives big direct damage, heat damage for the DOT, and heat weighting, so we get as much heat procs as possible. Pistol Elementalist gives us 60% reload speed, which is nice, and 90% status damage. This is only going to affect the heat DOT, though it is multiplicative. Anemic Agility for 90% fire rate and minus 15% damage, though that damage minus is additive to stuff like Serration. Then we have Cascadia Flare, which gives a damage buff that is the same type as Hornet Strike or Serration or whatever. And on heat status effect, we get 12% damage for 10 seconds, stacking up to 480%, which is 40 stacks. That's a huge amount of damage, and we don't need kills. We just apply heat, which we're going to be doing a lot of. 480%, more than double Hornet Strike at max. And then lastly, the one that makes this build possible, the most important mod, Magnum Force. Also the same type of damage as Hornet Strike and Cascadia Flare, so this is not going to be giving us nearly as much as we would like because of Cascadia Flare, but that's fine because we're only using it for the negative accuracy. I don't even have it maxed out because I don't have enough endo. Sad face emoji, but you can max it out for even less accuracy. We want negative accuracy, so the negative accuracy really affects this weapon. That combined with the little AoE it has makes it actually pretty good for AoE when it spreads everywhere. So with this build, if we come over here to these guys, here's what the accuracy is going to look like in the normal mode. It kind of becomes a shotgun, and then once we build up the Incarnon, now look at this accuracy. Exactly what we want. Very intense accuracy of, well, no accuracy. It goes everywhere. All over the place with those little 3 meter almost AoEs. So now let's shoot this guy. We want to go in Incarnon mode, and now I'm going to show you it devastating this entire group of enemies. Simulate. We have no viral at all, and the only armor strip is from the weapon itself, and we aren't even built up on all of our stacks yet. But it should kill all of these guys absolutely fine. Look at this. Laetum is insane. Why is this even a gun in the game? Dude, the damage this does is ridiculous. And then when the multi-shot builds up, it spreads even more stuff around. Now look at it. Even more shots. Oh my god, I love this so much. This is like in my top 5 most entertaining weapons in the game for if you build it like this. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's fun to use Laetum the normal way, but it's still just a, really overpowered gun. There's nothing extremely unique about it, but building it like this makes it so freaking funny. I can't get over how hilarious this setup is. I have nothing affecting our damage in case you're curious on my Warframe. Then you can also, of course, add in some other wonky stuff like viral. So here's what we have on our Panzerfaust file. We are also getting Tenacious Bond to proc. And once viral's added into the mix, oh dear god, the damage is going to be just unfair. Just completely and utterly unfair. Please spread that viral, El Poppy. There it goes. Look at that. Now the viral spread, and everyone's got viral everywhere in this game nowadays. And look at that. Whee! They're all dead. Well, most of them. Oh my god, this is so much fun. Now, that's pretty much it for the weapon. So I want to show this in mission, devastating everything, because it's so funny. So let's go into a mission. Big whoa. We has arrived into this delicious mod survival on Steel Path. And now we can completely destroy all of these enemies with my beautiful flamethrower that is definitely meant to be played this way. And if you disagree, then I'm sorry, but you are objectively wrong. I decided so. You're welcome. The only issue you'll have with this weapon occasionally is going to be building up the Incarna mode, and it's not because of the accuracy, actually. The accuracy doesn't really affect the primary mode too much in my experience. It's still pretty easy to get headshots when you need it. The problem is more so going to be that you do too much damage and the enemies die really fast, making it harder to build up Incarna. It's still not that bad, but it does, you know, kill stuff really fast in the normal mode as well as the Incarna mode. Now look at this big group of enemies right here. It's really funny, especially if you jump up and then shoot all down all over the place. Like you're just a carpet bombing everything. This would be a really fun weapon to use with Zephyr. I just am using Hildren for the sake of showing the weapon itself, not like the weapon with other frame or like specific frames or anything. But Zephyr would be really freaking spicy with this, because you could just float around everywhere. Oh wait, except never mind, I just realized it would not be spicy. Zephyr gives crit chance. That's a yikes. Well, I'm sure you can make it work with the crit chance. You could always just go with the other evolution, even though it gives less damage. Technically, it's still going to do more than enough damage to kill everything. And if you don't go too high of crit chance, as in like don't build it on the weapon, only get the crit chance from your Zephyr, you should be fine. So that's not too big of an issue. Plus, then you'll get the bonus damage against Acolytes, which, again, as I had said earlier, isn't really a problem, or at least in my experience, killing Acolytes isn't a problem with this thing, but more damage against them is always nice just so they die a little bit faster. And we should be getting an Acolyte fairly soon, since we're at 4 minutes and 5 million seconds of me being a big whoa. I know English. Don't you love it? This is 10 out of 10 commentary. All right, there's the Acolyte. I have to build back up my delicious Incarna though real quick. So let's try to get some headshots, please and thank you. Thank you. Where you at, Big Poppy? There you are. Okay. See, it's not like... can he not teleport? I hate it when that happens. It's pretty not amazing on its own, but this is without any like actual armor strip. Because in normal situations, you're likely going to end up stripping the Acolytes. And this is no buffs from our Warframe at all. I don't even have every mod slot filled on our Warframe. So considering those two things, I'd say this is acceptable amounts of damage to an Acolyte. If it wasn't teleporting around so much, I'd already have it dead like 9 years ago. But there we go. It's dead now. Very entertaining way to run a weapon. And because Laetum is so overpowered, you can completely get away with crazy inaccuracy to spread your shots everywhere. Because normally if you were, you know, using a weapon and all of your shots didn't hit the enemy, it would be a big bad because you wouldn't be able to kill stuff. But Laetum just has such ungodly damage that we don't even care. Like, this thing is... it's definitely something that DE put in the game, that's for sure. Oh my god, look at this beautiful mess of a build. Anyways, let's go back to the Orbiter and have them delicious closing thoughts. Big whoa. Back in the Orbiter, da-da-da. Yes, that's my new theme. Well, hopefully you liked this really kinky, funny build. If you didn't, then I'm gonna just, you know, cry myself to sleep tonight. Don't worry about it. But if you did like it, then you should try it out because it's so entertaining. And you can make this even funnier. I'm not going to show it right now, but, you know, imagine all of this with Mirage. Clones shooting everywhere. The insane damage buff. Then you go and max out Magnum Force because I don't have the endo to do it right now. But if you did for that extra negative 10% accuracy, oh my god. It would be really funny. Imagine your teammates seeing you just walking everywhere with a barrage of hellfiery bullets of death covering the map everywhere. That would be so terrifying to see as a blueberry. So definitely give that a try. That's gonna do it though, and in case you're skeptical, this was the build that I had on the Hildren in the video. And we just ran Panzerwolfeile because we can. If you liked the video, leave a like and subscribe. Adios.